Hello, builders of good. Thank you for tuning in to the Build Good Fundraising podcast. Fundraising isn't easy, but it should be simple. So on this show, we take the mystery out of raising money. Now, on every episode, we coach you to build your fundraising like a flywheel. The flywheel has 5 parts. Number 1 is listening to donors. Number 2 is engaging with them. Number 3 is asking the right people for the right things. Number 4 is celebrating every single gift at every single level. Number 5 is reporting back in a responsive and real-time way. If you master the 5 parts of the flywheel, your fundraising flywheel will start to spin reliably with less effort on your part. You will raise more money, you'll grow your revenue, and you might even grow your career. Now, every week we focus on one part of the flywheel, and today we are once again focusing on donor acquisition, except we're not focusing on asking, we are focusing more so on engagement. Because today we are talking about organic social media and how to use social media to connect more with people authentically, for people to find you, for people to understand what you do, for people to maybe even get excited about your work, for them to even know that you're an option for their philanthropic giving and stay top of mind. Now, it is something that I know a lot of our listeners are maybe struggling with to find the right strategy. So we are very excited to have what I consider to be one of the smartest people around organic social. We're talking to Brynne Krispin from Cause Fokus. Here's my conversation with Brynne. Hey, Brynne, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Mike. Thank you so much for having me.
Organic social has been around for, I don't know, for like, feels like over a decade now. And it used to be like, you got to be on social, you got to be on Twitter, you got to be on LinkedIn, you got to be on Facebook. And then along the way, it became into, you got to be on Snapchat, you got to be on TikTok, you got to be on all the platforms. And a lot of nonprofits have struggled to actually turn their organic social presence into something that they might consider an asset because it can be hard to track. That's framing our conversation a little bit. So in the year 2024, how do you see organic social?
That's a great question. And this I'll say the struggle is real. The more nonprofits I talk to, we have clients who work with us or just talking in the community, the general consensus is I'm about to give up on social. It's not working for us. We're spending hours of time creating content. We're barely getting any engagement. Nobody's donating. And so if that's you and you're listening, just know that you're not alone. And that is a very common problem that we're seeing right now with nonprofits. And organic social is tricky. It's challenging. It's hard to track. It's hard to really see the results that you want right away. It takes time. But we have built out, through my 10 years working with nonprofits in social media, and then also now through my own social media agency for the last 2 years, we've been able to really test and experiment and find some really good metrics and indicators so that you can build out a consistent plan for your organic social so it actually is bringing you the results that you need. But I would say, if you think about paid versus organic, a lot of nonprofits fall into the trap of just thinking that social media only plays the role of trying to bring new donors in, trying to get as many donors as we can as possible, thinking about organic almost like a bulletin board where you just put up your notice, put your number, walk away and hope somebody calls. And that is probably the biggest mistake I see nonprofits making, is that treating it like a bulletin board rather than treating it like a happy hour or a dinner at your home or a conversation that you have with somebody at the grocery store. Because organic really requires getting to know other people first, listening to them really well, just like your flywheel. That listening piece is so, so important for organic. And so the more we see, the more that we build strategies for nonprofits that prioritize listening and empathy and building a community with your audience and building your content out with all of that in mind, the more that we encourage clients to listen to their audience and focus on empathy and build a really healthy relationship with them, that's where we're seeing nonprofits find really strong success on organic social media.
All right. I want to get into that a little bit, but before we do that, you brought up paid. So we are in the middle of a series on new donor acquisition. We have focused a fair bit of podcast time here talking about some paid strategies. We've talked about some meta ad strategies. We've talked about Google search, Google Ad Grant. We've talked about, paid search. When somebody's evaluating their content play on the internet, how do organic and paid play together? Do they support each other, or are we talking like two completely different beasts here? And you kind of got to choose your path.
Yeah, that's a great question. The best way that I would say I think about paid versus organic is if you think about like you're planning a trip to a new country, paid ads or buying lead lists would be like booking an all-inclusive package tour, right? So it's convenient, you know exactly what to expect. You'll be guided through popular tourist spots. It's more predictable, but you might miss out on the adventure of just exploring and discovering hidden gems of the local spot. While organic comes in as more like the backpacking trip that you plan on your own through a new country. So it requires more effort, more research. You plan your own itinerary, you find local experiences, you connect with the culture. You're not necessarily following a set path, which can feel a little daunting at times. And it's not, a one size fits all, but you end up creating your own unique memories and meeting locals and forming meaningful connections. So organic really comes into play when you need to develop long-term loyal donors because you are creating content that attracts people, that brings them in, that keeps your organization top of mind. And it's that just consistent reminder of who you are, what you do, and why it's important. And then paid comes into play when you need to get to them to do something. So if you just start from scratch and start building a paid campaign, you'll probably have a really expensive ad that you're running to try to convert people because you won't have a nice pool of organic community to pull from. But if you're building that organic community on social, you have people who are just genuinely and authentically coming to you and interested in your content. That's going to help bring your ad spend down when you do need to run a paid campaign on social. And we've seen that time and time again. For example, last year we had a campaign. We were helping an anti-human trafficking organization get new donors through social. And, we have a very specific Facebook campaign for that and it built out. But alongside of that, we also built out an engaging, strong, organic social campaign that even before the campaign launched, the paid campaign, we were priming the audience on with organic content, telling the stories, mentioning the keywords that would be showing up later on in the paid campaign to kind of build this nice pool of people who were interested. And so by the time that paid campaign launched, the ad spend was cut in half from previous ad campaigns that the organization had run before, because now they had this really organic, authentic community built around their content. And so it just helped, again, save them some money, but it also helped get the results that they needed to bring in new donors with having that tandem strategy in play.
Yeah, you're speaking our language here. So listeners of the podcast know that the playbook that we most advocate for is like focusing on long-term donor value, lifetime donor value, or lifetime donor love, um, and and focusing on building community, listening and engaging a lot, showing up with value rather than showing up to try to sort of extract value, and the people in front of you, like realizing that these folks who are already in front of you, who you're connecting with, are so much more valuable than like new ones you hope to acquire with some other, acquisition campaigns. You definitely have to do acquisition. But oftentimes the best people to start with is like people who are, whether you're donors or not, are already somehow connected to you. And social sounds like a great way of starting to build that community of people around you who are already raising their hand and saying, I'm kind of interested in what you do because I'm going to follow you. I might interact with you a little bit. I might follow your page on LinkedIn, or I might follow your page on Meta, or follow you on Instagram, whatever it is. So that all tracks. The investment of having a strong social presence is something that a lot of organizations, that's sort of the next stumbling block, which is like, even if we understand, yes, organic social will make paid more effective, it'll probably result in a healthier donor file. How can we do this without hiring a full-time person? And maybe your answer is just hire the full-time person, but I'd be curious on how you approach that with clients.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the majority of our clients come to us with a shoestring marketing budget. And so that's something we're used to working with. And I was also a former one-person social media team for nonprofits. So I get trying to do it all and keep up with all the platforms and feeling like you're just missing out on all these opportunities by not being able to keep up. So the first thing I would do is just take a quick audit at your social media accounts, look at the audiences that you have, put that against the audiences that you want to have as your organization, knowing who you need to continue growing. And then choose the one or two platforms that you think will really help you reach those audiences the best. So it really depends on, again, who your target audience is, where they're at, and then focus your attention 100% on those one or two platforms. So don't try to do everything all at once. Don't try to be on every single platform out there. And then try to build at least, so if you're a social media manager and you're doing this alone, I would highly recommend trying to build out at least an hour to a week of just research and learning and innovation, because the best campaigns that I've seen on social have required some sort of just newer idea or newer strategy that maybe hadn't been tested or tried before. And this is, again, it's daunting for nonprofits who are already a bit over capacity and they want to just stick to what they know, stick to what works well. But that's not how you'll win on social. You have to have some sort of continual process in play so that you can be iterating and innovating and just experimenting a bit. And so I'm thankful for the clients who come to us that have a very curious mindset, who are willing to kind of jump in the petri dish with us and say, okay, like, let's experiment, let's figure this out together, because they know it's not one size fits all. And it's going to take a little bit of trial and error to figure out how organic is going to work specifically for their organization and then specifically to reach the audience that they need. So yeah, I would say just take a deep breath. Don't feel like you have to figure everything out all at once. But it's really important to really understand who your target audience is, what are their pain points, what motivates them, and then choose the platforms based on those answers.
Yeah. Now, I know you said, look, where the audience that you want to reach, where are they on? And then focus on that platform. That makes sense. Generally speaking, this is going to vary wildly. I understand that. But generally speaking, which platforms are, if you've got limited time and you've got limited budget, just generally speaking, which platforms make the most sense to start with?
That's a great question. Okay, so with the majority of nonprofits that we've worked with, Facebook and Instagram still have a really high engagement benchmark that you can meet, as long as you're producing content that is optimized for each of those platforms. And that is still where the number one donations are being raised on social, is from the Meta platforms. However, we have seen this past year, especially LinkedIn, come in as kind of like a dark horse of really, really high conversion rates. And especially if you're an organization who operates more in that thought leadership space, if you're working on advocacy or policy, or you're just trying to engage more high net earners, especially younger professionals, LinkedIn has been a huge asset to add into your social media strategy for reaching those new audiences. And I would say with, the the algorithm, the way it's built on LinkedIn is different from the other platforms in a way that they really want to protect the content and ensure that the audiences on LinkedIn are real people versus Facebook and Instagram. You still get a lot of bot accounts, you get a lot of spam accounts. It can be hard to know of your followers who are following you, who's actually a real person, whereas LinkedIn has protected their algorithm in such a way where you have to, you have an email address, you have a face and a name to your profile, put your title and your job on there. So you have a lot of sources there to go to kind of check and see who's really engaging with your content and know that they're real people interested in your work. So that kind of opens up a new door for a lot of nonprofits to start engaging those younger professionals who are there to learn and there to, discuss ideas and engage more in a cause that you're advancing. So that would be another platform that I would not sleep on at this moment.
Yeah, we've grown most of our business off of LinkedIn organic. That could be a whole
Yeah, me too.
podcast in and of itself. I know you have as well. Yeah, and that's how you and I actually met on through
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Uh, you said something interesting. You said you've seen conversions go up off of LinkedIn. When you're talking about a conversion, what do you mean by that?
Talking about clicks to website. So this is organic social. We tested this a few times. We tested this last year with year-end campaigns with clients who would come to us wanting the standard meta campaign built out on Facebook and Instagram. We would do that, but we would say, hey, let's take a look at just versioning and optimizing this and putting it on LinkedIn too. And even bringing in either your CEO or a leader from the organization who can speak directly about this topic in their own personal voice. And when we did that, those pieces of content outperformed all other pieces of content across the whole campaign. So they were getting more clicks, they were getting more donations, impressions even were much higher, and engagement. So across the board, LinkedIn, when we framed it in that way, was outperforming Facebook and Instagram content.
Yeah. We've started when we interview clients for a campaign, we've started to just record the Zoom call and then turn it into like little clips. And then the people post them on LinkedIn, like the CEO or the director of mobilization and advocacy. And it's been pretty cool to see, especially over the last year or two, how much traffic that is actually able to generate. And it seems to be high quality traffic. It's typically like the people who are like the clicks seem to be worth a little bit more. They seem to be people who like the intent is higher. They are people who are in that leader's orbit as like peers. So they, they tend to also be a little bit more engaged. I'd love to dive into the LinkedIn strategy a little bit further with you here. But before we do that, when we're talking about organic social on Facebook and Instagram, before we get into LinkedIn, are we talking about organic social mostly coming from the organization's profile because it is more trusted, or are we talking about just like people with their personal Facebook profiles posting organic content?
This is talking about the organization's brand accounts on Facebook and Instagram.
How about on LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, we do the company page and see even better, those what I just mentioned about the higher conversion rates, those were still coming from the company page on LinkedIn versus the company page on Instagram or Facebook. But the leaders platform was the one that was outperforming all the other brand accounts across all platforms. So when we took content and just tweaked it a bit to have more personal pronouns in it, have a unique story to share along with it, personal perspective, and then you're activating that person's individual network too. So the content is being received from people who already know and trust this person versus a logo where, you don't always know who's behind the logo. But if you have a person with a face and a name, they're already in your network, or maybe they're a second or third connection of yours, you're much more likely to see it, engage it with it, and trust that it's credible, it's a real story. And that's where we're seeing the highest results come in.
I'm curious if this maps over. For the last 4 months, for about 4 months, we tested on a client's email list. We split test between emails coming just from the organization, which is how they had typically run their email marketing program, versus emails coming from the CEO. So the treatment was different. The CEO email looked like an email from a person,
Mhm.
and the organizational email looked like an email from the organization with the logo on top and branding and a little bit more markety, so to speak. It met
Yeah.
all the communications guidelines and made the branding department and marketing department very happy. And like, hands down, clear winner. Uh, Plain text emails from the CEO performed way better than organizationally branded emails. That doesn't mean that every now and again, or that you shouldn't, but it seems to mean that people react in a more positive way when they feel like the person sending it is actually a person
Mhm.
and might be an easier way to build trust. Are you kind of seeing the same on LinkedIn where it's like if it's actually like the CEO or leader in the org posting on LinkedIn, and like you said, LinkedIn has protected their algorithm, it is that person. It can only be that person. Are you seeing higher engagement when you go down that path?
Absolutely. That I love that example with the emails because it aligns so well with the testing we've done with organic social and even just making a few small tweaks to the copy, like I said, adding the personal pronouns or a personal story, and testing it across the company page versus the individual. The individual's content sometimes doubles, three times the amount of engagement and reach that the company page will get. And I think we're seeing that more just because people are, we're oversaturated with content all day long, right? We're on our phones, we're on our computers, we're just bombarded with ads and messages and things that we don't always know are relevant to us, or we just assume someone else is paying to deliver it to us. And that kind of gives us an ick feeling, right? So I think when we see the content, it's coming from someone with a face and a name, and they're using I and here's what I think, or I had a conversation with someone and this is how it went. What do you think? You're inviting people into your story in a really personal one-to-one way, almost like you're sitting down to coffee with someone and telling them about an idea you have, or how things are going at your organization, just pulling back the curtain. That's something a logo can't do. A logo can't, have a one-on-one conversation in your inbox with you, or take a meeting with a representative. There's so many other opportunities that open up when you're tapping into the personal networks and the personal brand of the leaders at your organization that are just limited to you if you're only focused on the brand accounts at your organization.
Yeah. Okay, I'm hearing you say if I've got limited time and budget, and you just said, man, like if you post from a personal profile on LinkedIn, you might get 2 to 3x more engagement than if you post from the brand. To me, it's like if we've got limited time and budget, let's just go all in on that strategy. Am I pushing that too far? You're like, no, you still need a balance.
I think it's a little too far. So I think your organization, people still, I think the stat is 70% of people look at a organization's social media accounts before donating. So you don't want to just completely shift everything over to an individual's account, because you still need to have relevant, updated content in there. You need to present yourself as a credible organization who knows what they're doing, and people can easily find you. But I would say if you're focusing, on if your goals are primarily to engage new audiences, get more donors, and build even corporate partnerships, yes, definitely focus 80% of your time on tapping into those personal networks of the leaders at your organization versus 100% of your time on the brand account. So shifting the
Yeah.
focus to be more personal, I think, is a win-win strategy, no matter if you're doing it on social or fundraising, or just trying to meet new friends. I think trying to build more relational avenues and just more one-to-one human-centered avenues, that's going to help you win in the long run.
Yeah. I've noticed major gift fundraisers using LinkedIn super effectively, like their personal profiles. And they're almost the only ones you see on LinkedIn talking about their work. And it makes sense. They're connecting with a bunch of major donors on LinkedIn. You you it's so hard to, let's say you're trying to get in touch with somebody and you like cold email them, or you call them even. It's hard to get a meeting, but like, hey, they're on LinkedIn. They're a leader at their company. They're using LinkedIn. You connect with them on LinkedIn. and you start, you know, talking about your work. And it probably makes that cold call a little bit easier a few months down the line because, hey, we've been connected. You've been seeing me talk about my work. So I've seen major gift fundraisers use LinkedIn super effectively, have not seen CEOs or other senior leaders use it all that effectively at all. Let's talk about that a little bit. Who is the most ideal person in your organization or people who this kind of strategy makes sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's new territory for nonprofits for sure. And, even with the projects that we're working on with clients, we're taking, a playbook from B2B lead gen services often because we're applying a lot of that knowledge and case studies, but we're having to twist it and put an angle on it of, okay, how do you do this from a nonprofit leader who's not trying to sell a product, but they're trying to sell, their mission and trying to get people excited about that. So it's kind of exciting to apply these new and innovative ideas in that way. We've seen the most success when it's with the CEO or the CDO, so the Chief Development Officer. So, for example, one of our clients is the CDO of an international NGO. He's looking specifically to build out corporate partnerships. So we build out something called target mapping, where we connect with his internal dev team and figure out, okay, who are the companies, who's on your target list. And then we build that out specifically for LinkedIn so that he has a tracking sheet to see, okay, who are these people? What do they do? We start adding notes to it. What do they care about? But then we use that sheet to then go in to his personal account and engage with those people regularly on LinkedIn. And we're fully focused on service mindset, generosity. We're not asking a lot yet. We will down the road. But right now, the focus is just trying to connect, trying to build that relationship, commenting and say, hey, that looks like a great event. I'd love to hear more about it. Or if they shared an op-ed, commenting and just saying, those were great insights. I'd love to talk more about this. Let's connect. And just having those personal connections building up now so that, a month or two from now, when we go to send them a DM and say, hey, our organization is working on this initiative. We'd love to have your insights on it. They're so much more likely to take that call, right? Than if it's just a person you've never heard of from an organization you didn't know exist, dropping into your DMs, asking you for that call. So that's what we're working on. We are building up data and stats, but again, it's a newer concept, so it's kind of exciting to just test and experiment and see where it goes.
Yeah, the cool thing about LinkedIn, we talked about paid versus organic before. LinkedIn will actually allow your organization to run an ad, but the ad is the post of one of your team members. So if you craft a post from your CEO's account, you can go into your organizational account, be like, I want to run an ad from our CEO. The CEO gets a notification from LinkedIn saying the organization would like to run your personal post as an ad. Do you agree? And if your team member agrees, you can run that as an ad and it will show up in people's feed looking like a post, like
Yeah.
the CEO's post, but it's an ad. And I'll say it's paid for by the organization. But that's one of the ways that LinkedIn is really pushing the authenticity, building your personal brand, having your leaders share personal insights because they've realized a greater success rate than when it's coming from the brand. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
which is super interesting and I think is like totally untapped at this moment by nonprofits. Are you seeing some of your clients try to take advantage of LinkedIn paid and organic working together that way?
Just starting to, yeah, but it's been very recent. And some of them have come to us saying, we tried doing a LinkedIn ad campaign on our organization's company account, and it just flopped.
Yeah.
And so we were interested in how you're doing this with organic because, like, we're starting to realize with LinkedIn, you kind of have to put a little bit more skin in the game and start building those relationships more because, again, it's more about that personal connection than it is about just an ad. And LinkedIn also is the platform where you'll see the least amount of ads in your news feed. And they do that intentionally because they want people coming to the platform to learn and connect with other like-minded individuals. So you're not often going to be doing that with engaging with an ad from a company. So they really limit the amount of company ads you see in your feed. which is why I love the concept of doing a sponsored individual post, because then it makes sure that your content is getting to the right people. But then again, just being really intentional about the type of engagement that you're doing. So that means commenting on a post or replying to a post, or even just going into one of your target audience's account and just seeing what they're up to and seeing what they're interested in and making note of that, so that when you do reach out to them, they feel like they kind of know you already. So it's a little bit of stalking. It's a little bit of relationship building, but we're seeing that to be so much more effective than just putting all your money into an ad campaign and getting one or two conversions from that.
Yeah. We're going to rebrand stalking to intentionally showing up with
intentionally showing up.
value.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, we've got the CEO and the CDO, and we're like, let's start posting a little bit more from your personal accounts. I try to post every day on LinkedIn. It's a little bit daunting, I won't lie, but I've gotten in a rhythm, and now I'm kind of used to it. How often should we be posting?
We're seeing 2 to 3 times a week is a good sweet spot. So daily, of course, you'll see higher growth and engagement if you stick to it and do daily. But a lot of times, especially busy executives, one, they don't have the time to do daily posts, but two, they might not just have the time to think and plan the type of content that will perform really well. So I would say keep focusing on quality over quantity, and that's where the 2 to 3 posts per week is a sweet spot there. So you're not just posting for the sake of posting and trying to force yourself to do it without having something to say.
Yeah. Brynne, if people want to know more about this, if they're intrigued by the strategy, specifically maybe the strategy, but taking a bit more of a thought leadership approach with the CEO and the CDO, where can they find you?
Absolutely. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Brynne Krispin, or you can go to my website, causefocus.com, and focus is with a K.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast today. I hope that maybe we can have you back sometime, because the whole LinkedIn for fundraisers conversation is a larger conversation that we should be having. I think there's a lot more to get into there. That's all for today. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Here's my short action plan for you today. This might be a big ask, but can you sit down with your CEO or your CDO? Maybe you are both. Maybe you're a shop of one. And I'm like, I am the CDO and I am the fundraiser. But can you just begin this conversation internally, saying like, hey, I think you actually have a lot to offer. I think you bring a unique perspective. I think more people should know about it. I think it would help with our fundraising. I think it would be cool if our organization had a few leaders who were a little bit more active online, specifically on LinkedIn. I think it would help with major gift fundraising. I think it would help with other kinds of fundraising too. How can we start? Can we start with like one post per week? And maybe that's me just having a coffee with you, and I'll take a few notes and I'll draft a short post for you. And maybe we begin that way. But how can we start? How can we have a bias toward action to just try to do something on organic that is a little bit more than just announcements and the bulletin board of stuff we want people to know? That's my short action plan for you today. As always, thank you for hanging out with us around the fundraising campfire. If you're listening to this, you're my kind of people. I'm your kind of people. Thank you for the work you do. I'm in your corner cheering you on as you build good in the world.